In this video, I'll be explaining how this partial paludarium operates. It has changed a lot over the last 7+ years, from having the water feature on the left to having it in the center, along with some of the mistakes I made along the way, which would include only using silicone and great stuff to try and create a watertight seal. This is what it currently looks like with the water feature now on the right. My goal of this video is to show you the inner workings of this paludarium so it can save you some frustration down the road. To start, I'll go over how I keep my water level above my drainage layer without flooding my substrate. From past failed attempts, I knew I was going to have to find a way to trap the water in my designated area. For this, I used silicone and corrugated plastic. To do this, I laid a bead of silicone where I wanted my corrugated plastic to go to create a divider between the water and land. After the silicone cured, I did a water test for 72 hours to check for any leaks. Remember this picture here, it'll be a key component for later in the video. After my water test, I started grate stuffing the back side of the wall. I added some more silicone to where the corrugated plastic met the bottom of the enclosure, and while it was still wet, started applying grate stuff on top so they would cure together. I continued building up grate stuff until I got it to a point where I wanted to start carving it and shaping my water feature. After I finished carving out the hardscape to the water feature, I then started applying dry lock. I'll start at the top of the waterfall and explain how water cycles through and filters constantly. This is the end of my export tube that I put through a piece of sanded down PVC and sealed with dry lock. The water works its way down the waterfall to different levels, ultimately ending in the pond area. I have placed leaf lettuce in different parts to create some extra filtration. There is a total of 3.5 gallons in the pond area. Do me a favor and look right here. This is behind what I just circled. It's the picture from earlier. I took some biosponge filter, cut it to size, placed it in the hole to create some extra filtration and keep fish from going in the back chamber. On the other side of the biosponge filter and cutout leading to the back chamber, I have the import to a ZoomEd Nano exterior canister filter. I have tried various ways to get crystal clear water, went ahead, bit the bullet, drilled some glass, installed this, and I couldn't be happier with the result. The canister filter has two purposes. One, the export tube works its way through the back of the chamber to the top of the waterfall, acting as a water pump. And two, filtering my water. The continuous water cycle makes for good filtration. This is the top access point to the back chamber for maintenance issues when needed. The structure of the back chamber was made with black corrugated plastic. There is a hose to the top of the waterfall coming from the canister filter. This chamber also houses my nano aquarium heater. Let's take a look at the custom top to the Exo Terra. First, I knew I wanted 2 inches of ventilation in the front to try and prevent the front glass from fogging up. For this, I used window screen frame with 90-degree corners to connect it all together. I had to sand down little by little to notch around where the swing arms would go for the doors. Once it was a good fit, I went ahead and put in the screen, then siliconed the frame into place. In creating the tightest fit for my glass lid, so it was fruit fly proof, I measured from the screen frame to the back of the enclosure. I took those measurements to a local glass shop, had them cut 1/4-inch glass to spec. They did this all for about $20. After everything fit into place, I then cut some glass so I can fit in my fogger and electrical cords. Next up would be the internal air duct system that is built behind the hardscape. This is for constant air circulation inside the paludarium. The structure of the air duct is shaped as a T made out of corrugated plastic. At the bottom of the air duct is the import for the air to be pulled in from. The hole is covered by screen mesh. The air is pulled using a CPU fan that has adjustable speeds so I can change as needed. Lastly, the air is teed off and pushed out the export to circulate throughout the paludarium. This is in efforts to not get stale air and let the plants breathe. Now that we saw the diagram, let's take a look at it. Here is the hole with the screen mesh over it that pulls the air. I put a ledge over the hole to create a shadow to hide the mesh screen. The air runs through the CPU fan. I carved out the hardscape to fit the corkbark that functions as a lid and helps tee off the air. Down in the air duct, underneath the screen mesh, is our CPU fan. Later in the video, you'll be able to physically see how the air circulates. You might be asking yourself, how can you see air? Keep watching the video and I'll show you. To the left is my second back chamber, where I have some strudies to influence my morning geckos to lay eggs. So far, it's been working. The other function this chamber has is at the bottom for easy access to my overflow drain for any needed maintenance. This way, I don't need to pull up any substrate. I figured as long as I had the top off, I'd show you down the other chamber that has the exterior canister with the hoses connected. Below the enclosure, in the cabinet of the Exo Terra stand, we will find the water overflow jug that is connected to the overflow drain. To the right of the jug is a cool mist humidifier I converted into a fogger. It is on a timer that goes off 2 times a day for 10 minutes on a low setting. I have 2 entry points for the fog to come into the enclosure. The one on the left has the plumbing built into the hardscape background. On the right, the fog dumps above the waterfall and follows down the water feature. Let's take a look at the fogger's plumbing up top. I just cut PVC to size, sanded it down, and spray painted it black. For the inside attachment, I just used PVC, sanded it down, put silicone on it, covered it in cocoa fiber. For the gap between the glass and the PVC, I just put a little bit of plumber's putty around it. There's the hose that's connected to the main fogger. This is a third back chamber designated for the left side fogger so I can run the plumbing into the background. Once again, I use corrugated plastic for the structure of the chamber. I added this attachment when I finished my gargoyle vivarium to add a little extra humidity. I placed weed barrier inside the PVC to regulate a little less fog entering his enclosure. For a full step-by-step do-it-yourself tutorial video on how his vivarium was built, check out the link above. Let's move on to the lighting. For this, I went with 2 36x48 Fluval Aqua Skies. It's very user-friendly and Bluetooth operated right from your smartphone. You can set up sunrise and sunset along with different intensities with your red, green, blue, and white lights and various dynamic effects throughout the week. Also, a full manual mode so you can select random colors with the option of adjusting those colors or creating your own and then storing them in 4 preset designated spots. Here's some examples. Here, I can turn on and off dynamic effects manually. Let's take a look at one of them. The cool thing is, if you have the lights on multiple enclosures, I'm able to sync them all together using any setting I select. Remember earlier in the video, I said you will be able to see the air circulate? The way I'm going to demonstrate this is with the fogger. Currently, I have the CPU fan turned off. I'm going to go ahead and speed up the video to let the fog accumulate. It's important to note I would not normally turn up the fog this high. I'm just doing so you can see the air circulate with the air duct and the CPU fan. I'm going to plug in the CPU fan. You will see the fog drawn from the bottom of the air duct and disperse out the top. Let's see that again, sped up. Here's a closer view of it teeing off at the top. Now it's time to meet the crew who runs this operation 24/7. On the aquatic life of things, I have freshwater shrimp, neon tetras, bloodfin tetra, mystery snails, and a betta. Managing the grounds with the terrestrial life would be powder orange isopods, dwarf white isopods, springtails, morning geckos, and blue Azarius tinctorius poison dart frogs. Go ahead, like and subscribe for more videos. Thank you for watching.